Hey everybody. As you know, if you're a subscriber to this channel, you know that I try to take the comments seriously. I go through them and I look at them and I read them and I try to learn from them. I try to see how they are speaking to me where I am. I try to understand what it is that the author of the comment is actually trying to tell me. Now recently I did a video about a tweet from an actor by the name of Gina Carano. She plays Cara Dune on Disney's The Mandalorian. Now, some of the comments were, very explicitly told me that I was missing her point. Her point was not about the Holocaust, and it wasn't about Jewish people. Her point was about how liberals are silencing conservatives, how liberals are trying to put conservatives in camps, how liberals are trying to diminish and trying to harm and trying to silence conservatives. That it was about liberals hating conservatives. I understood the point she was trying to make in her tweets. I never had an issue with the point she was trying to make. I had an issue with the comparison she was using. Her message is fine. I'm not sure if I agree with it, but I have no problem with her expressing her opinion. I have no problem expressing her experience. I have no problem her expressing her story. My issue was the comparison that she used. And we're going to talk about that again today. I'm sorry if I'm beating a dead horse, but that's what we're going to talk about again today. Now listen, before we get going, I'm using Miss Carano's story again because it's the one that's in the news. It's the one that's got all the publicity. As was mentioned, many people use erroneous, massive comparisons like this in order to make their point. None of us should. In the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 37, Jesus says, "Let your yes be yes and your no be no." Let your yes be yes and your no be no. And that's it. Now in this passage, he's actually talking about swearing an oath. I swear to God in heaven that this will happen, or that I will do this. I swear upon Jerusalem that that will happen, or this will happen. I swear by every hair on my head that this will happen, or that will happen. And Jesus says, don't do that. That's a problem. It's troubling. Keep it simple. If you're going to do something, say you're going to do it. If you're not going to do something, say you're not going to do it. If you agree, say you agree. If you disagree, say you disagree. Make it simple. Let your yes be yes and your no be no. Now, despite the fact that this is about oaths, we can still apply it to other contexts in our lives. In this case, we can apply it to how we express ourselves, how we express our opinion, how we express our lived experience, how we share our story. Our stories matter. They're important. They mattered throughout the context of the Bible. As a matter of fact, the Bible is a book of individual stories as they walked with God. Our stories matter. Our opinions matter. Our experiences matter. And if I were an actor who were experiencing that kind of hate, that kind of vitriol that she was expressing to us, perhaps a way of expressing it might be, as an actor in Hollywood, I find myself, because of my political convictions, to be excluded from opportunities that I wouldn't have been excluded from 5 years ago. I find that my voice is being silenced. I find that I am being censored among my peers and within my community. I find that I'm not being taken seriously. I find that I'm being ignored. Now, in truth, a message like that, people may still have an opinion. They may still say, I don't believe you. They may still say, you're wrong. But they'll be arguing about the experience that's expressed. They'll be arguing about the feelings that are shared, the opinions that are being offered. They won't find themselves lost within the method the message is being conveyed with. The idea that a person is feeling as though they're being excluded, that they're feeling as though they're being silenced, that they're being censored, the idea that they're afraid of what may come, those are incredibly valuable. But when we rely upon historical comparisons, allowing the experiences of others to speak for what we're going through, the message can get lost within the method that was used to convey the opinion, the experience, the story, the fear, the anger, the grief. Our stories matter as they are. Our stories do. Our experiences, our feelings, they matter just the way they are. They are important just the way they are. We have a right to express them. We have a right for them to be heard. We don't necessarily have a right that others will agree, but we do have a right to put them out there. It's important that we put them out there. It's our responsibility to offer them to the world. But we don't need to rely on big, massive connections to huge historical moments. Let your yes be yes and your no be no. Now, I know out there right now somebody's thinking, yeah, but the liberals. And somebody else thinking, yeah, but the conservatives. It doesn't make any difference who you are. It doesn't make any difference what side you're on. These kinds of comparisons are not helpful to sharing your message. These kinds of comparisons are never helpful to sharing your message because these kinds of comparisons invite a conversation about the comparison as opposed to the message. Let your yes be yes and your no be no. Your experience and your story are important. You can count on that. May the Lord bless you. May the Lord keep you. May the Lord's face be made to shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord's countenance be lifted up to you. And may you always know the peace of being in the Lord's presence. And I pray that you will trust your lived experience. That you will trust that it matters. It matters to me. It matters to many. I invite you to share your experience. Amen.